Hey everybody, Omar here, the Knife Shark Guy, and I am back with another fun-filled video for you today. And you're probably wondering, why does Omar have 3 knives out on his table? It's real simple. If you guys remember, I said that I gave up collecting production knives in favor of custom knives, not because I believe custom knives are better, but it is just what I'm into for now. And, you know, pretty much the materials that a custom knife is made of began to intrigue me more. I wanted to learn more. And so I figured, since we've got pretty much my fill of production knives, I kind of felt that it was time for me to move on. And so I said, I don't want to completely say goodbye to production knives and get rid of all of them. How about I just keep 4? So I had asked the few viewers that I have on my channel to guess what the final knife in this quartet is going to be. I originally said it was only going to be 3 knives, but really it's going to be 4, because there's a 4th company that's not here on this table, and I absolutely had to have one of those knives in my collection as well. So in front of you, you see a zero tolerance 0562. You see a Benchmade Anthem, and you see a Kershaw bare knuckle knife. And one of the things that I did, because I was getting into customs, was that I pretty much decided that if I was going to have these knives again, I was going to go ahead and customize them in some way. So obviously the zero tolerance knife, you can see it's all blinged out now. It's not the normal carbon fiber knife that everybody else has. Mine now kind of has these ice blue screws on here with a different 3D sculptured carbon fiber sort of carbon fiber on here rather than the regular carbon fiber. And on the Benchmade, I went ahead and I bought a Timascus pocket clip, which I had made for me by Adam Purvis. And of course, on the Kershaw bare knuckle, I didn't do anything to it. I just bought a limited edition carbon fiber one. Sort of made it look more customized, because to me, this is more like a step away from a custom knife. So that being said, let's put all these knives away. And you can check out the videos as to why I chose all 3 of these knives on my channel if you want to check those out. So what we're going to do now is we are going to find out what is the 4th knife in this sort of quartet. And I'm going to go ahead and change mats for a second, because I've never used this mat that I'm going to be presenting right now for this knife. And it's kind of perfect, because we all know it's going to be a Spyderco knife, so why not put it on the Spyderco mat? And the knife of the day for today is the Spyderco Swayback as my final piece in this quartet. So let's get into this. We're going to go ahead and start off with the stats on this knife, and then we're just going to talk about the knife overall. I always kind of like to do that. So the overall length of this knife is 8.4 inches overall. And while I'm talking about the stats, you can just take a look at it real quick. We'll just go ahead and move it around so you can see it. The blade length is 3.53. The knife sports a premium CTS XHP, which is a premium steel, and it is the pretty much the successor, I guess you want to call it the successor, or an upgrade to D2. As everybody knows, D2 is not stainless, but CTS XHP is. The closed length of the knife, from here to here, the closed length is 4.51 inches. The edge length of the knife, which would be from the tip all the way to the back of that, is 3.31 inches of cutting edge on that. The weight of this knife, and it's not a very, very heavy knife. It's fairly light for a titanium knife, believe it or not. The weight of the knife is 3.9 ounces. Suppose the open construction is the reason for that, probably. So, the blade thickness of this knife is 0.139 inches. The handle is all titanium. The clip position is ambi. In the tip-up carry position, it has a integral Reeve lock, which everybody knows was invented by Chris Reeve. It's got a really nice hollow grind on the knife. And it has sort of a half mirror polished on it. Not quite like the Spyderco Swish Bowie. And that's it for the stats. So the knife is basically called the Spyderco Swish Bowie. Sorry, Spyderco Swish Swayback. Swish. S-W-I-S-H. That is the correct pronunciation of Marcin Swish's name. We have all, including myself, have been pronouncing it incorrectly. And I wanted to correct that. So it's not Slysz or Slysz or Sleaze. It's Swish. And I know that to be correct because I went online and just started talking. I was on Instagram and I realized, you know what? I'm so sick of not knowing how to pronounce this gentleman's name. He makes really great knives. Wouldn't it be a shame if we never figured out how to pronounce his name? So I called him online on Instagram and just asked him, how do you pronounce your name? And he said, well, the correct pronunciation, the correct Polish pronunciation is Swish. And you can actually catch that on a couple of videos on YouTube. I believe Michael Janish pronounces it correctly, the creator of the Yojimbo 2. He pronounces it Swish as well. So I kind of wanted to alleviate that. So why the Spyderco Swayback? Everybody's kind of wondering why. Why this knife? Well, I just began collecting, or I've decided to go ahead and collect my very first slip joint. And I figured, well, since I'm into slip joints for right now, I only bought one. It's not really like I'm into slip joints that much, but I figured if I'm going to have a few slip joints in my collection, and I'm thinking about slip joints, why don't I see if I can find an action knife that looks like a slip joint, and I found it. This, in the Spyderco Swayback. So the knife also has a, not only does it have an not only does it have a Reeve integral lock, but it's also got an over travel stop feature in this lock bar interface over here, which prevents it from traveling in that direction. The knife also has the relief cut on the outside of the knife instead of on the inside. Supposedly it gives you, it's sort of like, I don't know, from what I understand, it's sort of a safety feature because it gives you, by having the relief cut on the outside, it gives you a direct force vector, kind of. So it will give you will be able to apply more pressure on the knife simply because the relief cut's on the outside of the knife rather than on the inside. So it will prevent the knife from closing up on you. But, this is titanium here, guys. So I don't really see how that even really makes a difference, at least in my own opinion. The knife sports a worn clip style blade, which I desperately wanted. One of the reasons why the worn clip style blade is a great cutting shape is supposedly because, again, the amount of pressure when you're cutting something, because the blade is completely straight and straight all the way across, as opposed to, say, it being maybe a different shape like a drop point, where at some point, if you're cutting something on a drop point knife, on a drop point blade shape, supposedly you would have to kind of arch your hand to accommodate, to continue cutting with the same amount of pressure, whereas on a Wharncliffe style blade, no matter where you cut, whether you're cutting it here or starting to cut over here, or even at the tip, when you press down on the knife, the amount of pressure is exactly the same, as opposed to a drop point blade or maybe a sheep's foot, where maybe you might have to kind of contour your hand to continue that hard pressure to finish the cut, whereas supposedly on a Wharncliffe style blade, no matter where you cut, you can leave your hand just sort of flat and it will cut. The amount of pressure that you're going to be applying will be the same whether you are starting to cut here, in the middle, or on the tip. At least that's from what I understand. So the knife, pretty much, the shape of the knife is incredible. As far as the thickness of the knife, it starts out real thick over here. And then midpoint, it starts to get a little bit thinner until it actually goes all the way down to a point, which is kind of cool, because now you can actually hold the knife here, right? And kind of use it as sort of a scalpel if you were doing something sort of, very intricate or whatever it is, which is why a lot of the, which is why it makes such a great utility blade. So this is definitely not a tactical blade. This is a utility blade. So the action on this is really nice. It's not as smooth as the Spyderco Swish Bowie, but it does have really good action on it. I found from just only having it today, it's actually easier for me to open it, middle finger flicking it with my left hand, which is kind of weird because I'm actually a righty. And I found that trying to flick this thing open with my thumb, probably a little bit difficult, but then again, I've got a bad cut on my thumb, which makes it hurt. So I'm sure that once that heals, I'll be able to do it even easier. But, I can do it. But it does require a little bit more thought process to do it with my thumb, as opposed to my middle finger, which I don't even have to think about it. It'll just pop open. So the Spyderco Swayback, it got its name from the shape. If I put the knife down for a second, you can see that the knife droops. The shape of the knife actually droops down over here, and as you go up, the shape of the blade kind of levels up until it sways back over here by the handle. Sort of like an S-type feature, swaying back like that. Really, really very nice. The titanium pocket clip is absolutely fantastic on this knife. Unlike the Spyderco Swish Bowie, which only had the wire pocket clip, but it was a deep carry, so that kind of made up for it. But yeah, I just wish that it had something a little bit more polished like it does on this knife. Another difference between this knife and the Spyderco Swish Bowie is that the mirror polish on the Swayback, you can tell that it is a mirror polish, but it is not as mirror polished as it is on the Spyderco Swish Bowie. They kind of tapered back on that. But yet, you can still see yourself in the knife. It's just a little bit flatter of a mirror polish. It's also sort of stone washed on the blade. I don't know if you guys can catch that or not in the light, but yeah, it's got sort of a stone wash feature on it, making it really very, very nice. The ergos on this piece are really very nice as well. I don't have any problem with the ergos on it. This does not even dig into the palm, of my hand, if that's what you're thinking. It's very, very comfortable to hold. There's no hot spots on it, from what I can tell. Very, very comfortable knife. Absolutely fantastic. The knife is dead centered on here, guys. Really very, look at that. That is dead. That's one of the things I love about a really good knife, is how well centered it looks. But in reality, I got to be honest with you, in reality, because you're going to be using the knife, it doesn't really matter if it's centered over time, because over time, the more you use the knife's going to be off-centered anyway. But the idea behind having a perfectly centered knife when you buy it is knowing that it is in the best possible shape to begin with when you actually start to use it. And that position would be if the blade were centered. So, you know, there's some similarities between this and the Spyderco Swish. As you guys can see, I had a little difficulty there. It takes a little getting used to. But yeah, I can do it. It's just, yeah, I just lost it to try that again. There you go. So like I said, it does require a little bit more forethought on it. The open construction on this is just absolutely fantastic. I really can't say enough about it. It's just 2 barrel stops right there. Really very good. There isn't even a back one like you see on some of them. It's just completely open construction, and then these 2. And that's it, which I love. I mean, there's really only 2 kinds I like. I like it where there's a back spacer, and it's all the way up to the back of the blade, giving it a complete enclosed structure for aesthetic reasons only, or it's completely open like this. I don't like those half back spacers. That was one of the things that kind of, I can't say it disappointed me on the Spyderco Swish Bowie when I got it, but I do enjoy you know, symmetry on all my knives as far as the way they look aesthetically. And if something is kind of half, I mean, you know, maybe it's, I don't know, a quiet obsessive compulsive disorder that I've got, but I like things to be either completely open or completely closed. It just looks better to me that way. So why don't we go ahead and see if this guy is sharp? I'm sure everybody's kind of wondering if it's sharp or not with the CTS HXP, which, as everybody knows, it is a stainless premium steel. And it is also the upgrade of D2, which, by the way, is not stainless. So let's go ahead and... Whoa, look at that, guys. You see that? It is just like... I'm not even doing nothing there, man. That is just razor right out of the box, or in this case... Oh, I did it wrong. Always cut wrong sometimes. There you go. I mean, this is right out of the box. Really, really great. So as you guys can tell, the knife is incredibly sharp on there. So in a summation of the Spyderco Swayback, I do love the look of the knife, the way it sways back. I love that it's a warm clip style blade. I'm very happy with the CTS XHP steel, premium steel on it. The action is better than good. Takes a little getting used to, but it is better than good. It's great. Excuse me. Great action on this knife. The knife, I forgot to mention, runs on phosphor bronze washers. I needed to mention that in case anybody is going to ask, what does it run on? There are no ball bearings on this knife, guys. This knife is basically built on the concept of less is more. So, yeah, it is a very smooth knife for what it is. I have to break that in, but yeah. It is really nice. For a utility knife, this is going to get a lot of use out of me. I'm just absolutely floored by the way this looks. I love it. It was a fantastic purchase. Price point on this knife right now, if you're interested, the knife goes anywhere for $273 to about $300, anywhere in there. It's not even spiking up, guys, on the secondary market. It's still like right around 273 to 300 at this point because it's not a discontinued knife as of this time. It's practically brand new for 2020. Is this knife going to gain the same popularity as the Spyderco Swish Bowie? Good question. I don't think so. I really don't think so. The Spyderco Swish Bowie, in my opinion, yes, it is a great knife. But let's, you know, it may have also been considered a one-hit wonder. But let's also not forget how much, you know, how much, I guess, push the knife got from guys like Nick Shabazz, who actually did 3 videos on it. And probably because of that, you know, if you go on eBay right now, you'll find that the Spyderco Swish Bowie is going for about, I think I saw it for $800. Absolutely insane. Again, speaking of the Spyderco Swish Bowie, guys, before I close out this video, I hope I answered all your questions on this, or at least covered everything. Probably I didn't. This is probably another crappy video that I did. But before I close, but let's forget, you know, I'm not Nick Shabazz. I'm not a professional, you know, knife reviewer or anything. I just do this because I like knives, and, you know, you guys have been kind enough to give me 200 subscribers so far. But on an upswing, yeah, my Spyderco Swish Bowie is currently being worked on by Josh at razorsedge.com. If you guys are on Instagram, do me a favor and you know, go ahead and bug Josh for me at Razor's Edge and say, hey man, where's Omar's knife? He wants to get it back. I got it Cerakoted and on one side, and then on the back, I got it all DLC'd. We are going to take a look at that. It's going to be a fantastic surprise. That's probably going to be like an hour-long video. So anyway, this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy. Just going over a quick overview, maybe not such a quick, it's now running 22 minutes, of the Spyderco Swayback. And like I said, I do hope to get full use out of this knife. And now, to close out, because I finished out my production knives, let's go ahead and join them all with the other 3 and sum it all up one more time. I'm probably going to do a video on why I chose this knife more in depth. So let's go ahead and do that. Put them all together now. So there we are. My 4 production knives that I'm going to try and hang on to and keep forever. There was some serious thought, in my opinion, not my opinion, but I believe I put some serious thought into each of these 4 knives and why I chose them. You can check the video out for these 3 knives here as to why they were chosen as my favorites. And then there'll be a video on this knife soon as to why this is my favorite. And I'm also going to do a video on this knife as far as cutting, using the knife, so on and so forth. What's my experience like with that? So yeah, this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy, signing off, hoping you'll find any one of these fantastically great production knives in your collection. Yeah, again, this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy. It's been a pleasure for you doing this. I hope this has been fun. It's always fun for me to do video. I'm always very critical of how I do. I know that's when I'm blabbering again, but can't help it. My passion for these things can't be helped. So this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy, signing off. And yeah, pick yourself up any one of these excellent knives. I'm sure you'll be very happy with them. We're going to find out probably in about a week or 2 whether or not I'm absolutely crazy about using this knife. I'm going to see you guys in a few minutes on my next video. So this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy, signing off with the Marcin Swish Spyderco Swayback knife. Definitely get one of these. Check it out. And I'll see you again real soon. You guys have a fun 4th of July. I know I am. I'll see you again next time.